I appreciate you coming up.
Just wanted to get it over with, and then when he sent me that text this morning, I want to have that handled. So.
Yeah. I know that you still got a lot on your plate and everything, Michelle, but anyway, I wanted you to try to be able to rest if you could last night, if at all possible. I know that's really reaching out there in this kind of tragic situation, but still, you know, just go through. Today's date is August 25th, 2011. Time is 2:40 a.m. Be talking with Miss Michelle Despain. Michelle, I'm sorry, I wrote it down yesterday, but what is your phone number?
926-1309. 1309.
Okay. And do y'all have a home phone now?
No.
Okay. Probably about like us. We got rid of that a long time ago, and we're on cell phones now.
Well, we do have a line at home, but it's his office line, and it's forwarded to his cell phone.
Cell phone, okay.
So, yeah.
And of course, you're the wife of Mr. Mark Despain. And I talked with you briefly yesterday in regards to the events that led up to this horrible situation that we're in today, or yesterday. If you can, and I know it may be difficult, what I want to do is ask you to go back if you can. I know it's going to be very emotional to do, but if you can, go back and just fill me in on the day's events is the best you can recall and everything, okay? If you don't mind, and if you want to start with when you got up and went to work and everything, that's fine.
So, that was all just normal. We got up and the kids get ready and go to school, and they drive themselves now because the eldest one can drive, and so they
Is that Brooke?
So they leave about 7:30, and I finished getting ready for work, and he was getting ready because he was going to do some inspections. He doesn't always get ready. He just sometimes goes up in his lounge clothes upstairs and works, but he had to get ready yesterday, and so we were in the bathroom a lot, getting ready and talking, and then I went to work, and...
What time do you have to be at work? 9, 8?
I have 8:30, just my boss is really flexible, and then usually I try to get there by 8:30.
I know Cynthia, she's nice lady.
She
very
is
nice
very
lady.
nice.
Yes.
And I don't know. I went and got donuts yesterday morning, so it was even about 8:45, I think. But anyway,
Okay.
And then he and I had plans to have lunch, and we went to lunch about 12:30. It just never is the same time. We go at different times when we go eat lunch. And yesterday we met at 12:30.
That was at
Blue Coast Burrito.
So y'all were there at 12. Y'all met there for lunch together at 12:30.
It was at 12:30ish. It might have been 12:30, 12:40.
Yes, ma'am.
And we ate there. We were in separate cars because we met there, and then we went to across the street to Local Culture and got ice cream, and we were gonna.
Do you happen to know? I mean, were y'all? Do you remember? Happen to remember? I know it's difficult. You're not thinking about it at the time. On a normal day, it's not pertinent. You know. Do you happen to recall what time it was? Maybe whenever y'all got done eating and went over there.
No. Over to Local Culture?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I really don't.
That's okay.
One of his friends called me this morning, and he had actually saw Mark go into his truck and talked to him when he was leaving Blue Coast Burrito. So he might know what time, but I don't know about what time.
That's okay, that's fine.
Um,
So y'all go over there and roughly how long do you think?
we didn't stay there very long because we
Yeah.
got ice cream and then we were going to sit outside and eat it because it was fairly nice
Yes, ma'am.
outside yesterday. And we were too full to
Sure.
eat it. And I said I was just going to take mine back to work with me. And so
Okay.
then we left there. And
He drove off and I guess he was in his
he was
vehicle.
in his truck and we drove down Stadium and we both turned right on Nettleton. He was behind me, and then I turned left by Harris Furniture.
Yeah.
To go down that road to
Yes, ma'am.
Bancorp South, and he went on straight. He usually goes on straight down Nettleton to Southwest Drive to go home.
Okay. And you got back to work roughly 1:30?
1:30ish. My dad had said my dad's diabetic and he had been in town running errands and had gotten some rent money and stuff that he was bringing, and he was feeling sick from not eating, and so I went through Arby's and got him some sandwiches.
Before you went back to work?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Just right there on that road.
Yes, ma'am.
And got him some sandwiches, and I went back to work, and that was it. I mean, I don't really know what time I got back to work.
That's fine, just somewhere approximately. And you hadn't talked to Mark any time after this or anything?
I texted him about 2:15 or so, sometime after 2, just saying thanks for lunch and I had a good time, that kind of stuff, because we had lunch Monday, and he texted me after and said thanks for lunch. And
That was about 2:15?
yeah, and he didn't answer, but that's not abnormal, because
Sure.
he's on his phone all the time for work, and
So you never
he's
got a
busy.
reply back?
He's not, no, I didn't get a reply back, but
Okay.
he's not a big texter, and he might go an hour without answering me, and then I have to call him and say, you didn't answer me, well, I'm busy working.
Yeah, I have that conversation with my wife too, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
So that didn't alarm me that he didn't answer me,
Sure.
but
And you said that your father called you or something, or?
he had called me, and he was feeling sick because he had not eaten, and it was like 1:30.
And he was in town for bring rent
We
money?
brought rent money. He collects our rent for us from our rental property.
Okay. And I guess he would normally bring it by yesterday?
Sometimes it's just different days, because sometimes he'll collect it and get it all on Saturday and be able to bring it to us on Monday, and then some days there's some stragglers that hadn't paid.
Sure.
And if he's not coming to Jonesboro, he lives in Paragould, he won't make a special trip to bring it unless we just need it. And he brought it
Has he
yesterday.
been doing that for a long time? He
Years.
always collects money and brings it to y'all. He's the person that collects money.
Yes.
Okay. So anyway, you texted him at 2:15. Thank him for the nice lunch and everything that y'all shared. I have no idea. I think they may be working on the room next door. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
As a matter of fact, bear with me just one moment if you don't mind, please. Sorry, I didn't want that noise to be distracting to you,
That's
so.
okay.
Then at some point, so, you're back at the bank, you text me, did your dad come by and eat first?
He came by and ate in my office.
Okay. And then so he would have been at your office after 1:30?
Yeah, after 1:30.
Okay. And do you know how long he stayed? I know if you're diabetic, you really need to keep something in your stomach and eating.
he might have stayed 30 or 45 minutes, maybe 30 minutes.
Okay. So if you get back at 1:30, he's there until 2 o'clock?
Yeah, because he was on his way to come by the bank anyway. He comes by randomly to see me anyway, and said he was feeling sick, and I said, well, I'm right here by Harvey's. I'll stop and get you something to eat.
Sure.
And so it was right around when I got back. He got there right when I did.
Did he have the money on him for the rent, or do you know?
At that time?
Yeah, when he come by.
No, he took the money to the house.
He'd already been to the house, okay. So he'd already dropped and I guess that's normal practice, he would drop the money off at the house.
Because Mark keeps some of it and to pay things, and then
Sure.
I have some to deposit in the account to pay the notes.
Sure. And then and I'm sure he would have collected a little bit of money. Sure. Anywhere in particular that he would have left that money for Mark?
Sometimes in Mark's drawer in the kitchen. Sometimes if he knew that Mark was there or going to be there soon, would just lay it there by Mark's. Mark has a certain spot on the counter, keeps all his stuff in a little glass bowl. He would sometimes just put it there in a rubber band or something,
Yeah.
something.
Sure.
Sometimes in the safe, but not always. It just not very safe with that, I guess. Just lay cash around, but he knew Mark was coming home. And
Because roughly, unless Mark is out doing these inspections, he's probably home, working from his office there upstairs. Okay. So he's already been by the house, leaves somewhere around 2 o'clock, and then shortly thereafter that is when he takes Mark back in for the lunch and stuff. So I guess your dad told you that he dropped the money off to there at the house and for Mark and stuff. Does he have y'all's garage code?
Dad?
Yes, ma'am.
He has the code and he has his own opener.
Oh, he's got one of the flicker things like that we've all got on our cars to get in.
Before our daughter started driving, he had to help us a lot with kids.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Now, at some point, after this, past 2:15, after you text your husband, don't get him reply back, which is not unusual, you need to leave the bank in order to.
There was some we own the apartments out off North Church called Princess Court.
Yes, ma'am.
And I didn't get those gas bills paid in time. They shut their gas off.
All of them?
I think all of them. 3 of them had called. But anyway, I was going to run home and get those gas bills so I could get them ready at work and pay them after work.
Where do you pay them at?
Hayes or Parks or...
Yeah.
Not Hayes. Is it? It did Wallace and all. It used to be Wallace.
Used to be Wallace, it's Harps now.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I know that's where I run mine by. So.
Yeah. And
how many units do y'all have there? Just
13.
13.
And I was going to get those gas bills all together and take them back to work with me and get them ready and pay them after work. And because I needed to call CenterPoint to see how much I had to pay, for the reconnect fees and all that stuff.
Yes,
So I needed the account numbers.
Right.
And that's not unusual for Cynthia to just, let me run and do what I have to do. She said, bring me a cherry limeade when you come back.
Do those come out in separate bills, or is it just one, all one bill?
All separate.
All separate, okay, so, alright. So you roughly have 13 bills that you've got to add up and then take down there and pay all of them at once, so. And I know what time that you had called and stuff and everything, so, you leave work to go get the bills to take care of the tenants and everything. And, get to your house. I don't know, it's maybe difficult, but when you get there, can you just take me from there, please?
When I pulled up, nothing, I mean, his truck was parked where he always parked. He backs in right there by the basketball goal.
Mm-hmm.
And his truck was backed in. The garage was open. And so I thought he must probably be fixing to leave or something, because he doesn't leave the garage open.
That's always.
That it's
You're
always
totally
shut because he works upstairs and can't hear if anybody comes in or anything. And he, and so he always shuts that garage. He gets mad if me and the kids are in the backyard or anything and we haven't shut the garage, because people, we just, that happens, people come in your house.
Sure.
And so I walked in and I just opened the door and there wasn't any lights on or anything, which is not weird either, because if he's upstairs working, he walks behind me all the time turning lights off because it's an electric bill.
Yes, ma'am.
So that wasn't unusual for no lights to be on. And then I just walked in and there was some stuff in the floor right there where you walk in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what it was now. But yeah, because I didn't see it at first because it was dark and I thought he's upstairs. And then I started walking and I saw, I looked over, there was stuff in the floor, and I looked over and he was laying in the floor. And I couldn't see his face because he was kind of looking this way, but there was some blood all behind his back, running all the way back behind him.
Yes, ma'am.
And I screamed his name, and I went over there and I kind of nudged his leg, and I screamed his name again, and he didn't move at all. And I got scared because there was stuff in the floor. I thought somebody might still be in the house. And so I ran back over and pushed one of the buttons on the alarm thing because that calls immediately.
Yes.
And then I ran out to my neighbor's house and called 911 while I was running over there. And nobody was home. I couldn't find any of my neighbors home. But I called 911, and then they let me call my dad and my mom and my friend and my boss.
Had you called 911 first, or do you recall? And there's sometimes people do in those type of situations. I've had people that will call their best friend and tell them, do you recall the?
No, I pushed the button on the alarm, and I don't even know which one I pushed. And now I think I pushed the wrong one because I think there's one for an ambulance and one for police, and I didn't push the right one. I don't think because the ambulance took forever. And all the police came, but no, I pushed that button, and then I was running out the garage.
Yes, ma'am.
And called 911 while I was running out the garage.
Okay.
Like 3 police got there before the ambulance, and I think I pushed the wrong button.
Do you recall, Michelle? I'll give you a moment if you need.
I'm sorry, it's okay.
No, ma'am, don't apologize. There's no need to apologize, please.
It just doesn't seem real, because when I went back in the house last night, everything was clean. So it was like where he was, so it was clean, so it was like it didn't really happen. Because I only got to see him for a split second.
Yes, ma'am.
It's okay, you can go ahead, because I'm looking done.
Okay. You need some tissue?
No.
You got it? Okay. So do you call 911 from your phone or your the neighbor's phone?
From my phone, my neighbor went home. There's no cell phone.
There's your cell phone. Where did you go? Do you remember where you went when you called? Do you remember where you?
I went to my neighbor's house where I was at last night.
Okay.
And
Were you outside?
I was outside ringing her doorbell, and she wasn't home. And so I ran down her hill because I saw my neighbor across the street was outside. And I haven't met them. They just moved in. Debbie next door is our really good friend. And
Yes.
so when Debbie wasn't home, I ran down the hill over there, and she had shut the garage, and I was ringing her doorbell, and she wouldn't answer the door, but she probably was just scared, but because she didn't know me either, but she wouldn't open the door either, and then I was just kind of trying to hide, because I didn't know if anybody was still in my house or going to come out.
Where'd you hide at?
I was just, her mailbox has a little tree behind it.
Okay.
And I was just right there, yeah.
And who come out to you first? Do you remember?
I was trying to remember that last night because I can't remember if a police officer got there first or if my dad got there first.
Was your dad? He was still here in town.
He was at Walmart, and I thought he was going back to Paragould, or I didn't know actually where he was going.
So at some point after you called, you hung up with 911. You called your dad, I
I
guess.
called my dad, and then I called my mom, and I called Cynthia.
Okay.
And
So he's at Walmart.
I think he was at Walmart,
Okay.
he said. And I really can't remember if he got there first or the police, because when the police got there, they just ran up the hill and didn't even talk to me. So I can't remember if they had already done that or if Dad pulled up first.
Of course, I mean, they're naturally they're trying to make sure
Right.
that no one is still in your home.
Yeah, I
and
know.
for your safety and stuff. Okay. Okay.
And then my mom got there, and then after I called Cynthia, I called my best friend Ashley, and she was on her way home, and she lives out in Barrington Park, so she was real close too, and she even got there before anyone else got there. Which now I realize that, my friend's husband told me that the police probably just knew that the ambulance didn't need to hurry. But I didn't know why they were hurrying.
Michelle, I personally did not know your husband, Mark. And I take it from that, I mean, in saying that, the thing I'm getting at is, of course, I didn't know how Mark was. I didn't know his personality. I didn't know, can you think of anybody anyone that he could have pissed off or that was mad at him
For 3 years we've been looked over our shoulder and scared of his dad. But I hate to think that his dad would do anything like that because it is his son, but he's just very, very cold-hearted and independent and made very, very bad threats to us 3 years ago. And I believe that.
back in 2008 and stuff.
And I believe that my mother-in-law only went back because she was scared for our safety and her own safety. And we have a lot of rental property with them that is going really bad, foreclosing on, all kinds of things right now. And that's recently gotten worse, but he has not contacted us and made any threats, recently or anything.
How long has it been since, and I understand it's been a very strange situation, how how long has it been since there's been any contact of where he was, or her, either one, were actually physically able to come into y'all's house, enjoy time with you? Is that before any of are we talking 2008? It had been since.
2008.
Okay. So we're talking at least 3 years that there has been. And I suppose that Mark, and again, I'm having to ask questions because like I said, I personally don't know your husband. I'm supposing that Mark would not have anything to do with him.
He wouldn't, and that's, you say not knowing the person that Mark is. Our daughter, I had our daughter when we got married, she was 1. And
That's not his daughter, right?
not biologically, but he has adopted her.
Okay. What is her father's name?
His name's Jason Reese.
Jason Reese. Where is he from?
He's from Black Rock, and he lives over in the Turtle area now.
Over in Turtle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No problems there.
No, not recently. I mean, when we were trying to do the adoption a few years ago, you know, he's never made it like any life threats to any of us or anything like that, but he would.
No problems as far as, and when did he adopt? I know your husband adopted her.
That was final in February of 2010, I think, but we had been trying to do it for 2 years.
Sure,
I mean,
yeah.
we've been trying to do it forever.
Any big issues he blow up, he signed the papers over and stuff?
No, he blew up and fought it. You know, we had
Sure.
to go to court and fight for it because he had went a long time, you know, a couple of years without any contact. And so then when we filed the papers for that, he tried to say we just wouldn't let him contact her. And
Right.
that was a big fight at that time. And she never goes over there now, but she did go over there a few weeks ago.
Okay. Was that something she wanted to do?
She has his parents.
Okay.
She's really always been close to his parents and his grandmother and her cousin. And so she wanted to go over there and spend, you know, a couple of days over there for that.
Everything had been good. I mean, basically, it's.
We just don't contact him.
Sure.
He did call last night and left a voicemail, but I haven't called him back or anything. But there's just no relationship there.
Yes, ma'am. And I'm sorry, I kind of got you to ask you that question. You was fixing to tell me about it. You said that I said I didn't know your husband, Mark.
Oh, when, you know, because Brooke is not biologically his, you know, then when all this stuff, but he's never treated her like she wasn't.
Sure.
Ever. And in 2008, when all this happened and inappropriate things happened with his dad and Brooke, Mark, he just immediately stood up for Brooke and stood up for me, and we offered his dad help initially. You know, we want to help you have a problem. You know, we told him we're going to take Brooke to counseling tomorrow. Then we will be mandated to report it to the authorities. And we tried to do everything. He tried to do everything to help his dad, and his dad just didn't think he did anything wrong. And so, you know, it just would have been really easy for him to not turn his back on his family for a daughter that's not biologically his. But no, he did. He stood up for her and believed her and supported her and protected us. He honestly thought he was protecting us by keeping us away from his dad.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and that's just the kind of person he was. It would have been really easy after any period of time to go back
Sure.
to his family. And he really thought he was protecting us and our kids. And we tried to help his mom, and she left for a little while and lived with us because she believed that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like I said, he was making threats to burn our house down and different things, and I think she was scared. And so she went back, and we told her at that time too that there's no way we could have a relationship with her if she was with him.
Sure.
And we
Well, that's basically just been it.
have had words, you know, I probably have letters somewhere at home from, you know, a couple years ago where we've had, you know, words because of all the business stuff. And, I think even recently he might have sent an email about, he's threatened to sue us for 3 years over business stuff, you know.
Right.
So, but not any personal threats.
And yours and Mark's relationship, y'all been married for how long?
It'll be 15 years.
15 years. How was Mark doing with you?
Toward me? Good. He's good to me.
Good husband.
Mm-hmm. I mean, everybody has arguments and that's
Sure,
perfect.
yeah. You can't live with somebody 24/7 and not.
And all the financial stress has, you know, put tension at home, but no, that's just normal. Three kids and finances and.
Hey, I've been married for going on 24 years, so I know what you're talking about. There's going to be, and and from what I understand, I mean, there's apparently just been some pretty good financial stress on both of you.
But we also talk about that and the fact that none of that, because we've tried to hold on to all this rental property as long as we could before, you know, we had to let it go.
Yes, ma'am.
But we've just got to a point where it stressed both of us out so much that, you know, it's not worth it. Material things we knew were not worth it in the end, as long as we had each other and our kids, and we're all healthy, or we're blessed with 3 healthy kids, and we've said that many times, as long as we all had each other, it didn't matter about the other stuff.
Yes, ma'am,
it didn't matter if his dad got mad because we let that property go. Because we've tried to sell the property too, and his dad won't sell it. I could jump back and forth on different things on that. But we both just talked about that all the time, that it did not matter what we have. We all would have each other no matter what.
See, I've always had a good relationship. He's never been physically abusive to you or anything like that. I know a lot of times we'll say things that I had to my wife. She said things to me that we don't mean that come out of our mouth.
Yeah.
That's just in the heat of the moment and stuff like that. But no big recent blow-ups, no big recent arguments.
Nothing major, just little financial stuff that, you know, we knew that wasn't over. We're in, you know, in the process of all these foreclosures and stuff.
Sure.
And our friend and attorney Jason Marshall was there last night.
Yeah,
he knows about all that stuff that's going on. And
spoke with him briefly and everything last night. So, but in regards to all that, so I'm well aware of. I mean, I know there's a lot of, and that's what I was just asking as far as him being under a lot of stress or anything, and sometimes with
I mean, he
arguments
definitely was under stress that he added stress to himself that he shouldn't add.
I think all men do.
He's self-employed and never know when your next order is going to be or when your next check is going to be, and he's the primary provider, and he just never knew. You know, he just felt like he might have 10 orders on his desk, and he would think, when I get these done, I don't have any more. No, like, honey, more are going to come in.
Yeah, more will come.
You know, I mean, he just really, it was a big, you know, he really felt stressed to, provide for us. But everybody did a good job at that.
Sure. I mean, and because I mean, you know, there's so much, and I'm not saying anything one way or another, but I'm trying to get into his frame of mind, his stress level, anything. I mean, anything within the past few days to where he's been in a big argument with you or anything like that, or anything to where somebody, you know, I don't know, you tell me, I don't know his people that were around him or somebody that, I mean.
There was nothing major recently. We had, a guy did text me the other night, and he was, yeah, what night was that? Sunday night. I mean, it was this guy from Truman that had texted me, and he found that, but it was nothing, nothing major on the text or anything, but it made him think that I was talking to that guy. I mean, he saw it all, and we talked about it all. We didn't have a big fight about it.
Sunday night.
I don't remember what night that was, because we had already, we'd already talked about this, and it wasn't like a huge fight or anything.
Okay, so this is, he was not having any type of affair or going out with
Not
anybody?
that I know of.
And you weren't?
He was, that would happen like in, I don't even know what year, maybe 2002 or 2003 he did.
He had an affair?
And I talked to someone in 2008, but nothing recently fighting about that kind of major stuff.
So he had an affair on you, or, I hate saying affair, but it's there.
I really don't think that he was or anything.
Okay.
And his dad, that text this morning, I mean, and I don't want to be cold-hearted, and I'm not going to not let them around at all, but they
Right.
don't have any, you just have to think, I mean, in my shoes, they would not show up on our street or our doorstep for the last 3 years,
Yes, ma'am.
but they did yesterday.
Right.
There's nothing they can do now, I mean, there's nothing. And she sent me, that text this morning, wanting to know.
She or he?
I think the first one came from her. And she just said, I hope we can put our differences aside and you let us take care of our son and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Well, that's not going to happen. I mean, they're not going to take care of the arrangements. They're not going to do it.
A little bit too late. And
yeah.
That's your job.
So, and I had already talked to my friends about that last night, and Mark and I had talked about that before. If something happened to me or something happened to him, that we would not want them around. Our kids
Sure.
would not want them around. I mean,
Sure.
talk about those things, hoping it never happens, but
Sure.
but then I do feel like in the when it happens, you still really don't know how you're going to feel until it happens.
Right.
So I don't want to completely shut them out. And so I talked to my friends last night about doing some kind of little, let them have separate time for themselves, separate from us at the funeral home or something.
Which is very honorable.
So when she texted me that this morning, she said, "Are you and the kids okay? And I hope we can set our differences aside and do this, And I said, we're surrounded by people that we love. Everything will be taken care of. Y'all need to lean on each other and support each other. And there will be, I'll let you know about arrangements for y'all, And then he got on there and he said, "This is Jack," and he sent this horrible text telling me that well, you saw it or you'll see it, that I'm horrible, called me names, and said that he thinks that I had something to do with it because I'll get life insurance and he's going to sue me. So, I don't know what he's going to sue me for unless he wants. I mean, I don't know what he wants. I don't know.
Tough situation. It's terrible all the way around and stuff. And of course, things like that do not make it any easier and stuff. And the reason why that I have gone back to, and because I like to put, and I'm just tell you honestly, I mean, with things with me and everything, it's brought to my attention that y'all may have had an argument.
Mhm.
That would have been, I guess, believe Sunday night.
Whatever
Monday
night
Monday
that
night.
guy texted, and that was the first time that I mean, it really was something so completely innocent.
Yes, ma'am.
But I know from Mark's
Probably
side,
wasn't
he
the same.
didn't, it
Sure.
wasn't innocent, it hurt his feelings naturally, and, because the guy said, you know, that I was pretty and smart and this and that.
Sure.
And I said, well, that's sad that a husband of 15 years can't see that, and that really hurt Mark's feelings, that I had belittled him to another man, and I totally understand that, and that really, it wasn't a big deal to me, because I knew that was the only time I had talked to this man, and,
But it was.
But it was-
Mark.
but it was a big deal to Mark.
Was
and
he highly pissed off, Michelle, that night?
He was really mad about that, yeah. But,
Yelling and screaming or anything?
you know, he's really good about not yelling and screaming. I mean, he does raise his voice
Sure.
a lot when he doesn't mean to.
I mean, don't do it myself.
His normal voice, people think he's screaming, and I tell him all the time, honey, people think you're screaming at them, you have to lower your voice. But usually in stressful situations like that, he's really calm and doesn't really scream.
And the only reason, and the reason why I'm asking, when y'all are having this conversation, and he's upset,
Mm-hmm.
and I can understand from a man's point of view, I can understand from a lady's point of view too, also going, this isn't, nothing, but I can understand, with something like that. I know
And
you
it
can't
took me about 24 hours to realize that that's a big deal to him.
Yeah.
I know it's innocent, so it's
Yeah.
not a big deal to me, but it was a big deal to him.
Where were y'all at when this happened?
In our bedroom.
Y'all were in the bedroom. Okay. Anytime ever in the dining room there?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Did he get so upset that he throw anything that night, knock anything off on the floor to the best of your recollection?
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. Of course, as it said, yesterday, the house, there's a lot of things that are out of place. I'm just trying to see.
Yeah, no,
as
none
far
of
as-
that was done before that. He didn't throw
He
it.
never threw anything in the floor that night, never.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Was that a long argument where he's pissed off that night?
No, we talked after we didn't, fight very long, but we
Yeah.
talked about it late
Sure.
into that night, laying in bed, talking about it.
Did anybody else know about this argument or this big fight, or where he was so mad? I'm sure he was upset.
Yeah, I told my boss about that, just because she's my friend, and we just
Yes,
talked
ma'am.
about that
Sure.
But it wasn't anything that carried on into anything past that day.
Right.
And then he talked to our friend Jody about it. He called him and talked to him about it. Because the guy is a mutual friend of Jody's.
But the kids, they aware of this? They were not aware of this argument,
Not that
anything
I
going
know
on?
of.
So, were they home?
Yeah, they were in bed.
Oh, okay. All right. So, that would have been the only people that knew that just those two would have known about.
Yeah, because the man that texted me doesn't even know that we thought about it.
Yeah.
He just quit texting, and I
Yeah.
quit answering, and I didn't think he even knew anything about it.
Okay.
Did you find something in the floor that he would have thrown?
Well, there's certain things, take it from my point of view, that I've not been in the home prior to that. There's certain things that when I'm looking, and we're looking at the house, I'm just looking and going, okay, was this here, or did he get so upset that he's thrown something around. Was this here the night prior? If it is, I need to know. It's no big deal.
Yeah, no.
But was there anything that was out of place that I need to know about to where I don't put it down and include into the events from this tragic day here yesterday? Okay. Okay.
I know, I told them last night I was kind of embarrassed because we really live in our house, so.
It looked like home to me. Well, other than.
And you know, my friends all say that my house is cozy and my house is homey, and I'm like, y'all are telling me my house is dirty and yours is always clean. But we just live in our house. There's stuff everywhere.
Home's supposed to be at home.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, anybody, what was, and I know, I guess your dad has worked for y'all for a long period of time. Their relationship?
They have a really good relationship. He has a really good relationship with both of my parents. My mom and dad are not married.
Oh, they're not? Okay.
But he has a really good relationship with both of them.
Never got into it with your dad or anything like that? No hard feelings?
No, because they all know what a good dad and good husband. And they tell him that, and my mom tries to love on him extra because he didn't have his family anymore, you know. But no, no hard feelings with any of my family at all.
Okay. Not over. And how long did your dad work for y'all? I know it's not been for.
We bought some trailer parks in Blyville in like 2006 or 2007, and he's worked for us since.
Ever since, just. I guess.
Property management.
Full maintenance and stuff.
Rent collecting.
Okay. Now, Saturday night, was Mark, were y'all in Jonesboro? Do you know if y'all were?
Saturday night. Yeah, we didn't go out of town.
I believe it had been like on the 20th.
Saturday night.
Yes, ma'am.
The 20th. This last Saturday?
Yes, ma'am.
We were in Jonesboro because he went to the Deerwoods all day that day, but he came home that night.
And if he goes to the Deerwoods, where would he go to? I mean, which route would he go?
He goes to Dalton, past Pocahontas.
Past Pocahontas.
Mm-hmm. And my 14-year-old went with him, and
Your son?
Friends.
Your 14-year-old boy? Okay.
Can't remember what we did that night though.
I'm just curious. I was told that maybe he had gone up to the cabin or something this weekend, so I would just.
Yeah, but he didn't spend the night.
Okay, all right, okay. Now getting back to, because I'm trying to, it's so important here with the house and you know, if anybody's walking through the neighborhood and stuff, you know what, I mean, I'm throwing out a big net, okay, and I mean, I'll take any little piece, so some of these questions they may seem stupid, but there's only one way to find out. And I know about the window where it had been raised because of the radio that y'all listened to when y'all were out back there at the pool and stuff. You said that he was very adamant on keeping the garage door down and everything. And it's raised when you get there, which is, you found unusual, other than the fact that you believe he's probably going to be leaving. When your father brings money by to leave it, has he ever left the garage door up that you know of?
While he's there?
Well, while he's there or after he leaves? Do you know?
Not after he leaves. He's really good about, not that I know of, he's really good about shutting the garage when he leaves.
I'm trying to see, to make sure, you know, because that the garage door was down and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you see what I'm talking
I
about.
mean, you know, I've left and went to Walmart and left the garage door open accidentally before, so it's always a possibility.
Sure.
But the norm at our house is to shut that garage.
Have you been there when he comes by to pay, to drop the money off before?
Mm-hmm.
Your father? When he pulls up, or whenever he gets there, is there any particular thing, routine, or anywhere he parks, anything like that he does?
Most of the time he'll pull in my garage. My side of the garage.
He pulls in.
The side that you can park in, but most of the time he pulls in there.
Okay.
Or if I'm in the garage, he always blocks me in or can't get out. but most of the time it's the garage. It's not parked in the garage very often.
If he parked in the, have you ever come home and him be there paying, leaving the money? Has that ever happened before?
Or just be there, cause he'll sometimes.
With his vehicle parked in the garage? When you pull up,
Open the garage and.
would you know if he's there or not?
Just when I open the garage and see his truck.
The garage door's closed?
Sometimes, would be sometimes,
Okay.
if he's hanging it, cause he lives in Paragould, and there's times that he would be at the house and, waiting to pick the kids up for me or something,
Sure.
and he would be in the house watching TV.
So he'd have the garage door down then or something?
Yeah, cause I'm telling you, that's the norm, is that we shut that garage door, because we don't lock that other door.
Right. But if you're coming by there to just drop off money like he has in the past or anything, he just pulls in there, I mean, garage door, he's just gonna run in for a minute and drop the money. He's not gonna be closing the garage door or anything, he'd leave it up.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah, cause I'm at work most of the time, but I have been there when he's there, or I've pulled up to run home at lunch or different times, and him be in my garage, his truck in my garage.
And the door's always down?
Not always.
Okay, so it's open, sometimes
Not
too.
always.
Have you ever felt, afraid in that neighborhood of being robbed or anything?
No.
Nothing like that of the sort?
I'm telling you, that is the safest neighborhood. The only time I've ever been scared in that neighborhood is, and that fear just initially, finally went away, but it was when we initially had all the fighting with his parents.
Sure.
Cause we had the hot tub and the pool and stuff, and I would go out to the hot tub by myself at night and then think, oh my God, he could come back in this backyard with me back here by myself.
Right.
That's the only fear I've ever felt is
Right.
from Jackson neighborhood, but not anything.
You seem like you have excellent neighbors. It's a very, I know for a fact, it's a very well respected neighborhood and stuff.
Before I forget, my
Yes.
neighbor Debbie yesterday said, because when we first, everybody was in the street and she was like, let's go to my house. And we got to her house and she's like, should we be scared to go in? When we first went to her house. And, but we went in, and then later she mentioned that her neighbor or someone had called her and told her that her back door was wide open yesterday. I just remembered her when
And where does she live in relation to you?
at my house, at the house we were at last night when you were talking to me.
Yeah, so right next door to you.
She said her back door was open yesterday.
Did she found it herself open?
See, I didn't get into the, I just remembered her saying, my neighbor called and said my back door was open. And I forgot to ask her any more about that.
Okay. If we can, if you think about it or anything, maybe we can clarify that point. And of course, that's very relevant. So
Yeah.
could be, of course, like I said, I'll look at anything. So, and like I said, I know that's a very...
One time, a few weeks ago, it might have been a couple months ago, I'm not telling you my days turn into weeks, turn into months. I had went to pick up, I don't even remember if it was Zach or Brooke, but I had went to pick them up from somebody, one of their friends' house, like at midnight or something. It was really late. And when we were coming home, there was somebody walking in our neighborhood with a backpack on. And it was just really strange for that time of night. Nobody ever, you know, was in our, and I really can't remember if they were, what race they were or anything. But I can't remember if it was Brooke or Zach with me, but whichever one it was, we'll remember. That doesn't help because I don't know what they look like, but that was the only time I've seen someone that I thought, why are they walking in this neighborhood?
And y'all been out there how long? 9 years, 10 years?
No, we've been out there since 05.
Since 05, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And other than what you just mentioned, I mean, there's no time when you've ever felt scared, afraid of being anybody. Okay. Of course, anything can happen at any given time, but
Yeah.
we also, I mean, I feel comfortable, you know, where I'm at, very comfortable.
And you know, I think we felt a little too secure too, since we have the alarm. It makes you feel really, you know, safe. Of course, not if you don't lock your windows.
That's what I was just asking. Who would know that windows open? Anybody around that Mark would know that had any kind of ill feelings towards him or anything you think of with that?
No, I just know that's the only window we use to plug in the radio right there, and the kids will plug it in and out in the summer when they were home and after school. And but usually we lock it back. But I mean, sometimes it's not locked back.
Right. And y'all put that screen inside there yourselves.
Yeah, we did that months and months ago. But the kids though, because the radio is outside, and they'll just unplug it and pull that cord out, and then they'll shut the window and not go back in the house and lock the window. But I don't know of anybody that would have been, you know, had any ill feelings toward him right now.
Did he know any of the, did you ever go around any of the tenants or anything like
Not
that?
not really at all. Dad does all that, and I mean, we know he might know just a couple of them, you know, random ones, but
Sure.
But Dad deals with all of that. You know, I'm reaching, but there's probably several upset tenants right now because we're doing some foreclosing and stuff, and they've been getting letters from the banks and stuff like that. But I don't even know that anybody knows where we live, except, I mean, it's not very hard to figure out, but that kind of stuff. But I don't even, because we've never let tenants come to our house or anything. If I've ever met a tenant or he ever meets a tenant to get rent, we meet him at Country Mart or, you know, we've never let tenants come to our house.
Okay.
I mean, he makes people mad in his line of business if he doesn't appraise their house high enough. You know, he has had people threaten him when he's on their property, you know, because my stomach is growling, I'm sorry.
That's quite all right.
But nothing, you know, he's not a bad person. I don't think anybody would do that intentionally. I don't think anybody had those kind of ill feelings toward him.
Dad hadn't made any mention of any tenants to yourself or Mark or anything about any of them threatening or anything like that or nothing, so.
They shield me from a lot of that stuff though, too.
Sure, yeah, we do.
Because I know it stresses me out on, like, when tenants aren't paying or tenants aren't whatever, they, you know, they know I get upset about stuff, and they they shield me from a lot of it because it all
Sure.
stresses me out. I try to handle everything for everybody.
You and Mark had a great relationship. You and your father, y'all have a great relationship. Have for years and stuff.
Not when I was a teenager, but for since my daughter was born 16 years ago, all that kind of changes.
Yes, I know. And I know you said your dad was never mad at Mark or anything. Is your dad privy to, and I don't do it if it's my business, my wife's business, it's not my mom's or my dad's, but some people will, if they're fussing or arguing or anything, they'll talk to their parents. Any discussion with your mom or your dad about any of the
I don't think
maybe some arguments y'all had or anything, so there's nothing.
Maybe he would talk to my dad if we were, but there's not that many arguments to even talk about. I mean, nothing of significance that he would talk to Dad about or anything.
Never been, like I said, never been any kind of physical abuse. Never, let's say you've never talked to your dad. He hit me, nothing like that. And I'm throwing that out there because it's, trust me, in 16, 17 years, you know, there's always stuff that's I hate not to ask a question and it'll be something there. I mean, I'm probably, like I said, we're throwing everything out there, and that's the reason why I'm gonna touch base on everything. This is, you know, is somebody so pissed off at him because of this property, well, his tenants, is it,
See,
you
I
know?
don't know. I don't think so, but I don't think so. Always a possibility. I think half of them are, do all kinds of drugs out there.
Sure, yeah. Do you know how much money your dad brought by yesterday?
I think it was supposed to be around $1,000 or a little more than $1,000.
And he's done that on numerous occasions.
That's a weekly thing.
Okay. I wouldn't, would your dad feel uncomfortable in the neighborhood with, as far as worrying about being robbed, as far as you know?
Not in my neighborhood.
No,
probably where he collects, but not in our neighborhood at all.
Okay. And I failed to mention, and it has really nothing to do with it, but this guy that you're talking about in Truman, who is he down there?
His name is G.W. Roach.
G.W. Roach. With the rank into the Roach conveyors or anything?
I think he is, but I think he drives a UPS truck or FedEx or something. I mean, it really was he's so insignificant that it wouldn't be.
He wouldn't be jealous to the point or be wanting nothing. And like I said, I'm throwing it out there, you know. I'll go as far as.
Yeah, I know. No, he, like I said, he doesn't even know that Mark found the text or that we had an argument about it and hadn't even we haven't had any contact since.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Give me just a second. I think we're just about done here, and I want to make sure that we got your phone and everything, and then I'm gonna let you go.
So they haven't found this guy that they saw walking in there?
Not yet. Of course, I mean, we're constantly getting calls. You know, these times are, kinda, I can sit down and focus and talk and everything because, I'm getting pulled in so many directions and I have to stay.
So it's just
So
the one, you have the one lead is all for that person, somebody walking in the neighborhood, or?
That's just somebody that, and, of course, we wouldn't even claim a suspect. We'd just like to talk to this individual who was sitting down there in that area, because we're gonna get everything we can,
What about fingerprints? When will they know what the fingerprints are in the house other than ours?
They will, if they lifted any from there, they will be sent to the crime lab. Of course, on this situation, they move those to the front burner. And they usually get, if there's any that are usable latent prints, they usually get them back pretty quick. Sometimes it's hard to say a time frame exactly on because you don't know their backlog or what they've got. But this particular case will be pushed to the front.
So we got my friends helped me get all my stuff last night, and we took my 10-year-old's cell phone, and he's like, "What is all this black stuff on my cell phone?"
Oh, and
I don't know.
fingerprint dots, yeah.
And then my friend was like, "Michelle, it's dust off when you go off."
Give me just a minute. Let me check on your phone, okay? I'll be right back.
Okay.
And then we'll get you out here, get you on. Sorry, Michelle. I was trying to check on your phone and stuff, and I think I'm just about done with it and everything. When I was walking in there, I was having to think. You said that, you said that some of the tenants called you to let you know the gas had been cut off.
They would call Dad, not me.
Oh, they would call your dad, okay, all right. I'm sorry, that's right, they would go through him rather than y'all since that was the case. And, you had, mentioned, as far as, um, and I know this is not relevant in any way, and it's probably the last thing we're just thinking about, but did he have a good enough life insurance policy to where the kids and everything, y'all gonna be okay? As far as.
Yeah, I know one of them, a good friend of ours, is one of our agents, and he had texted me this morning and told me what, because he has 2 policies, and I don't even know what they are, but one, our friend, he texted me this morning and told me it was $500,000, and he gave me the name of the agent that'll be calling me and stuff.
You know, is that what company that is with or anything?
That one is with Modern Woodman.
Modern Woodman, yeah, I've got that one myself, so I know what you're talking about. And that one, on that, so, and then is there another one as well?
Yeah, but I don't know how much it is. It was one of those things where years ago, we're gonna switch companies, and then he never switched. He just wanted to keep both of them, and I don't have any idea how much they are.
Don't even know what the dollar amount is on it. Okay, so you think you're never gonna be fine. It's just.
We're never gonna be fine. But we'll just sell whatever we have to sell and do whatever we have to do, and we have friends and family that'll. We'll just do the 4 of us together instead of the 5 of us together. It doesn't matter about that. I'm not really worried about that right now.
Well, I just want to make sure that, the kids, you're young, I just want to make sure
and he has an aunt that will make sure we're taken care of too.
Okay. Michelle today and hadn't thinking, I know I've thrown a lot out there just trying to reach for anything.
I'm just gonna, the first thought in my mind when anything bad happened is that his dad would be involved in it because he totally despises us. Totally despises us. And, so then especially with him already mentioning life insurance to me today and the fact that he's gonna sue me, scares me. And so I don't know if I need to worry about me and the kids still, if he, I don't know. For our safety or what, I don't know.
I would not, of course, I've done this for so many years. I learned to never say never, but I would not, I would not worry myself crazy over something to that extent as far as that. I think, safety and stuff is fine as far as that goes, but so your dad they would have called your dad, and then I guess maybe your dad would have called you to pay the bills. Okay. So he called you that morning to go, I just got calls to, or
He
did you
had
recall?
actually texted me the day before and told me that they shut it off. And I said, well, I'm just going to have to take care of it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I forgot to get the bills that night. And within like 3 people had called Dad that day, yesterday morning about it too.
Let me ask you this. Was your dad gonna go, did he ever mention, did y'all invite him to go eat lunch with you that day?
No, not that day, but he does eat lunch with us sometimes, so we didn't invite him that day.
Okay. Did y'all eat lunch together all the time, every day?
Me and Mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Not every day, but a lot.
A lot, yeah.
We ate Monday, we ate together Monday, but not Tuesday.
Right.
Slowed down a lot in the summer a lot because it's a lot more expensive when you take kids with you.
Sure, absolutely. I know how that
They
is.
go back to school, so we can have started anymore.
Did your dad know you were going to eat lunch?
Probably, yeah. I talk to my dad a lot.
A lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Had you talked to him that morning?
Yesterday morning?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Were you aware that, and was Mark aware that he was bringing the money by that day? Yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was. I'm sure Mark was.
Right.
Mark talked to Dad about more
Probably
than
more
I
than you
did.
did. Right. But there was no set time on what he ever come by with the money or anything like that to where somebody could have been watching y'all's house and
that's what's weird is our driveway is like a revolving driveway. There's cars. Especially in the summer. It's not so much now, but
right.
we have lawn people, we have pool people, we have dads in and out, and I'm in and out. Sometimes during the day, Mark's in and out, and because when we go on vacation, I always have to tell my neighbors, because I know they see so many cars in our driveway all the time, I have to say, okay, these should be the only cars that you see.
Yeah. Did you invite your dad to go eat with y'all?
Yesterday?
Yeah.
I don't think I did yesterday. He asked me where we were going. I don't think I extended an invitation. That was probably my hint. I don't think I did though.
Do you remember what time you talked to him?
To Dad?
That morning?
No, because I would have talked to him several times.
Several times a day?
Text.
Okay.
It's usually closer to the beginning of the week,
Mm-hmm.
one of the first few days of the week,
Mm-hmm.
but it is always weekly.
Okay. Okay. Um, do you know, was your dad at the bank when he called you that and you said you stopped and get him something to eat?
I don't think, no, he wasn't there yet.
He wasn't there yet. He said, okay, you said, I'll get you something to eat, and he just come by there and ate with you. Okay. Anything else you can think of?
Oh, Dad wanted me to ask about his shoes. How, will y'all keep those forever? Or
No, they won't. That's something that's just preliminary, that's stuff that we do.
I mean, do you know how long you'll have them?
Um,
I think they're like diabetic tennis shoes.
yeah, I heard him say that. I would have to, I don't want to give it, I'd be starting to if I told you. It's not, it shouldn't be long at all. But no, we're not going to keep them or nothing like that. That's one of the things we always do with, especially with anybody if they've been in the house or anything like that. So there's nothing to that.
And y'all didn't take anything off, pictures off my phone or anything? They're not deleting anything off?
No, they're not going to delete anything off your phone. No, ma'am. Absolutely not.
There are a lot of pictures on there.
Yes, ma'am. Anything else?
I guess, what do y'all do? What do y'all do looking for on the phone? You just wanted that text from Jack, or what?
We want the tags if there's anything, if there's been family problems, stuff, and especially like the situation y'all been going through with his side of the family. If there's any kind of recent event, because like I said, we're not, we're not going to say that, Joe Blow over here didn't, have a vendetta against him or something like that. That's why I'm reaching out there to see if anybody who was upset. Yeah, his dad is sending texts and stuff like that, or stuff. Yes, ma'am, I want that.
But it wouldn't be on.
Yeah, I want to look.
On my phone or on Mark's?
No, on your phone. If he sent this text that he'd sent to you, or the one that got and stuff like that, yeah, and then they start talking. If there's any
Because his
threats
dad
and
has
stuff.
sent texts a few weeks ago, but they're deleted. Will you get those?
I had to ask the guys that do that. I don't know if that's always a possibility. I know that they can be retrieved, but.
It wasn't anything threatening. It wasn't
Okay.
anything major.
Okay. So anyway, that's the reason that, because like I said, if anybody has made any threats or anything towards him, you, or anything like that, yes, I want to look at it. We're going to be looking at it, so. Okay. Well, let me see if they've got that ready. Come on out here. I'll conclude the interview then at 12 o'clock.
So is this an update or a question?
Yeah, well, there's, I want to go over a lot of this to fill you in, okay, as far as what's going on, where we're at, okay, and stuff like that. Yeah, I may have you to reiterate what transpired on that tragic day and stuff like that and everything, okay? Let me go across. Today's date is August 31st, 2011. I got the time now being, looks like 1:15 p.m. I'm going to be talking with Miss Michelle Despain again. This is reference case number 2011-10673. And Michelle, I got all your information and everything the other day, whenever you was up here. As I stated, there's been there's been a lot of progress in this case, okay? As far as to the involvement in the murder of your husband, okay? Right now, I have 2 individuals in custody, okay? I have 2 people in jail. I have the man that shot your husband, the one that killed him, in jail right now.
You know for sure?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. He is in jail, okay? And all the aspects and everything with that. I had the gentleman that drove him down there to the scene and the whole 9 yards. Okay. From this point, I want to make you very aware that, and like I said, working 24/7, we worked hard, round the clock, you know, to get us to this point where we're at. And I'm not done yet by any means, not stopping or anything else. We're going to continue to work extremely hard. At this point, I will also be arresting your father.
My father?
Yes, ma'am. Your father will be arrested for murder. I have all the information, all the evidence I need.
Not Mark's father.
No, ma'am. Your father, Carl Kelly, is responsible for setting this up, partly to have your husband killed.
I don't believe that. I had the tenant call me this morning and tell me that. I did not believe it. Thought it was another rumor.
It's not a rumor, Michelle.
There's been rumors already that...
I know. There's been thousands of rumors out there. Okay? That's why it's important, again, for me to rehash. Let's go back to this tragic day, okay? I have all the evidence I need. I have witnesses. Both of the individuals tell me that they talked to your father. How much he's supposed to pay them. Everything else. The whole 9 yards. I've got your dad's truck in the neighborhood. I've got your dad's truck there. I've got a gentleman that sees your truck, your dad's truck parked. They're talking to the murderer that killed your husband in cold blood. And then he sees him at the crime scene later. So you can see where I'm coming from, how important it is for us to go back and rehash what transpired that morning, okay? Can you go back and rehash the events from that morning with me, Michelle?
I didn't go to the house that morning.
Okay. What I'm trying.
It was that afternoon.
It was that afternoon when you went down there. Okay. This is what I need to do, okay? I need to start from the time, and like I said, with your father and everything, I need to go back. We need to go back to that day, as tragic as it is, okay? And I need to know of how the events unfolded and stuff like that, okay? So start me off, if you can. Let's start off that morning at approximately whenever you left the house to go to work.
Probably about 8:30.
Okay. Are you able to look up at me and talk to me? Because it's kind of hard to hear you.
It was probably about 8:30 because I was running late and I told my boss I would go get donuts, and it was about almost between 8:30 and 9 when I got to work.
Okay. So you get there at work at 8:30 to 9 o'clock at work. Had the kids already left for school? Okay. And Mark was still there? Okay. Okay.
I think, yeah, he was there. He was
Okay.
getting ready to go do inspections.
Okay. And did he tell you where that inspection was at?
Mm-mm.
Didn't know, okay. That's all right. From 8:30 to 9 o'clock, you arrived sometime during that time. What transpires during the day from there? Normal work day or what?
It was a normal work day. My dad did come see me, but he comes and sees me at work often.
What time did he come and see you?
Before lunch.
Don't know what time. How long did he stay very long?
He stayed a little while. He comes and sees me often.
What did he want?
Nothing. He was in town to bring rent money. He didn't really want anything.
Okay. And you don't know what time that was that morning or anything?
Mm-mm.
Now, he only shows up one time that morning
And then-
before you see him again at lunch or what?
Mhm.
Okay. So, let's see. You remember how long he stayed?
Mm-mm.
No? You remember what he talked about?
We talked about my sister some. She's having a baby in January.
Right.
Nothing specific.
Okay, nothing specific, okay. And then did you see him any more that morning?
Not before lunch.
Not before lunch, okay.
Mm-mm.
Did he just leave from your office there by Cynthia, or
Mhm.
he just walked out from there?
Mhm.
Okay. Did you ever go downstairs? Did you walk him out or anything? You remember?
Sometimes I walk him out, so I might have.
Okay. Might have
I
walked
don't
him.
know if I did that day, but sometimes I
Okay.
do.
So anyway, after that, your father leaves. He's only in town to pay rent, is that, or give you rent money?
As far as I know.
Okay. Okay. Would he ever pay you the rent money?
Mark had taken over all that and wanted to start getting it himself.
Uh-huh. When was that?
That he took it over,
Yes, ma'am.
like maybe April.
April of this year?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. And then, what transpires from there, Michelle?
I went to lunch with Mark.
And that was at what time?
I went to TJ Maxx first. I don't remember if I checked the mail that day. I usually go to the post office and check the mail.
So you had left about what time?
Maybe about 12, probably about 12, because I went to TJ Maxx, and then I was meeting Mark at 12:30.
Okay, so you're supposed to be at Mark at 12:30,
Mm-hmm.
and that was at the taco or the Mexican
Blue Coast.
Blue Cross burrito, okay. Did you get anything at TJ Maxx that you remember?
Bought some shoes.
Okay. And then from there, you say that you went over and you met Mark at 12:30, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Any time before that, to your best of your recollection, did your father call you?
Yeah, he called. He did call or text. He calls and texts me every day,
Okay.
all day.
So he call you by phone, by your cell phone, or would he call you on the bank phone, or do you know?
Both.
Both.
Most of the time, my cell phone.
Okay. And then from Blue Cross burrito, y'all go over across the street, to the best of my recollection, what you told me the first time.
Local culture.
Local culture, okay. And get some yogurt or ice cream, whatever it is there.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
We did. Sit
Uh,
outside for a little bit.
Sit outside, okay. Okay. And then you leave, do you happen to remember when you left or anything from that point? Or whenever y'all were in separate vehicles, you said, I remember you telling me that the first time.
I think it's about 1:30.
About 1:30. So y'all leave and go your separate ways there. And Mark was going where?
Home.
Okay. Back to work.
Mm-hmm. And Dad did ask me if where he was.
I'm sorry, I couldn't
Dad
understand.
did ask me where he was.
When?
Sometime at lunch, he asked me where Mark was.
He stopped by there or he called?
He texted me or called me.
Your dad calls you, or your dad texts or calls and asks where Mark's at?
Yeah, but that's not unusual.
What did you respond to your dad? Do you remember?
I mean, I told him where we were eating lunch.
So you knew where y'all were at. They knew that you were eating lunch there. Do you remember, were y'all at Blue Cross Burrito, or was y'all over at the yogurt place by then?
I don't remember.
Do you remember saying anything to Mark about your dad texting, wondering where he was at?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You remember that?
I
Okay.
mean, it's all not unusual for, because Dad does a lot of work for Mark.
Yeah. So anyway, y'all leave at 1:30, you're in separate vehicles, you take off, and you said sometime during that time that your dad had texted or called you and asked you where Mark was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But he knew it. I told him we were eating at Blue Coast Burrito.
When did you tell him that?
I don't know, because it wasn't when he was there, because I didn't know where we were eating yet.
Okay. He hadn't been, I think didn't you tell me in the first time that we spoke that he hadn't been invited? Sometimes he would come eat with y'all, but y'all hadn't invited him that day or something like that?
Because we hadn't ate lunch very much together lately, because the kids have been home for summer, and I didn't invite him.
Okay.
Sometimes he invites themselves.
Sure. I think all parents do that, don't they? Okay. Was he wanting to know where y'all ate, or why would that even come up in conversation? Why?
That's just not unusual. He just kind of asks what we're doing all day, every day, all the time.
Trying to stay in meddling? Well, I hate to say the word meddling, but my mom likes to know things too, so I understand. So y'all leave approximately 1:30, you think? Y'all's in separate vehicles, and I believe the first time, did you go which way now? Back to?
We went down Stadium and turned right on Nettleton.
Both of you did?
Mm-hmm.
Both of y'all turned right on Nettleton?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that a normal route for Mark to go home on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All the way down to Southwest Drive.
Okay. I guess it's kind of just straight shot and straight down to y'all's house, isn't it? Mark in front of you, behind you, do you remember?
Behind me.
Behind you, okay. And then, what from there?
Dad called me and said he was feeling sick because he hadn't had lunch. He's really bad diabetic.
Is that unusual for him to call you and tell you that?
Mm-mm.
He called and said that
I'm telling you, he calls me all the time.
he called and said that he was sick because he hadn't had lunch.
Well, I mean, he just called me, and that came up in conversation. That came up because then I said, well, I'm right here by Arby's, and I'll get you some sandwiches, and you can come by the bank.
Okay. So he calls you, says I'm sick. Did you offer to get him something to eat, or did he say, would you stop and give me something to eat? Remember?
I offered.
So you go through Arby's and get him something to eat, and then go down to the bank, I guess. Okay. You remember what time it was that you got back to the bank? It was, you left there at the
And then I
culture.
just went straight from that local culture down, turned by the furniture store, and went through Arby's and went back to the bank.
Okay. Okay. So you get there, and then how much later is it that Dad arrives, or anything? Do you recall?
It wasn't very long at all.
And where did y'all eat at?
He ate in my office.
Okay. You remember how long he's there?
Not very long, because I was trying to get him out of there because I needed to work. And when he's in there, I can't not work very much.
So he's not there very long?
I don't think so.
Okay.
He visits often, and so the visits just kind of run together.
Yes, ma'am.
And this last week is kind of blurred too, so.
Yeah, I understand. I know. He arrives, eats at your office. He's not there very long. Where was he going after that?
I thought he was going home.
Did he tell you he was? Do you recall?
He said he needed some stuff at Walmart,
Yes, ma'am.
but I didn't know if he was going to Walmart in Jonesboro or Faribault. He lives in Faribault.
Yeah, he lives up there. You thought he was going to Walmart?
Mm-hmm. He
Okay,
said he needed some
Say he
stuff.
needed some stuff. It may sound like a goofy question. Do you remember what he said he needed? What he was going to get or anything, Michelle?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Oh, I know that morning when he was there, we had some tenants calling because the gas had been shut off at our apartments. That's what we talked about.
Uh-huh.
Because I didn't pay the gas bill in the time at our apartments on North Church. And he had told me that like 3 tenants had called him that morning.
What time was that when he told you that? Do you recall?
That was when he was at my office that morning.
For lunch?
No.
Oh, for the first, okay, when he was in there? Okay. Alright. Was Mark aware of this at all? That the gas had been shut off?
No, he would have been mad at me for not getting it paid. I don't know if any tenants had called him. He didn't tell me. I think he would have called me mad if they did.
Are you speaking of Mark?
Mhm.
Okay,
So I think they just all called my dad,
okay.
which is what they always do.
Do you know what tenant sales were?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, he tells you he needs to pick up some stuff. He's going to Walmart, and he's at the bank.
Mhm.
They're on Fair Park then at that particular time, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Did he have a specific store or anything he went to when he was down here to get supplies or food or anything like that?
Walmart.
Just Walmart. Okay. And then from that point, after your father leaves, now, did he call you and tell you that the tenants had been shut off, or did He tell you why he's there at the office?
While he was there, I think.
Okay.
We talked about it twice that day.
First that morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then again at lunch, or whenever he's eating lunch, is that right?
No, he called me because that's what reminded me.
So he called you after he left the bank?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So y'all talked one time earlier when he come by the bank, he had told you this. Then he calls you a second time, and this is when it reminds you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And he had already left the bank at that point when he calls and tells you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then what happens from there? Do you hear from your dad anymore?
Mm-mm.
Never heard from him again that afternoon?
Not until I called him.
Okay. So,
And he's the first person I called after 911.
okay. So at some point during the afternoon, that would have put him leaving, I don't know, you can't really tell me exactly what time he left the bank, right? But he calls you after he leaves the bank, says, Michelle, we got these tenants. They're calling me. They're telling me gas back on. So at some point in time, you leave, right? Do you remember what time that was when you left, Michelle?
Mm-mm. I went straight home.
From the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave the bank, left the bank, and went home. Okay.
Because I had to get the bills. Because I would have to call and get the amount that I'd have to pay to turn back on. Because I had to go to the grocery store and pay it all.
And you said, yeah, I think you told me you usually paid that at Wallace Owens and Harps. Yeah, okay. All right. So, when you go home, which way do you go? How do you travel that route? What's easiest? What's better on you?
I'll go down to Caraway and then get on the bypass. And then
Just
Southwest
straight shot,
Southwest
yeah.
Drive.
Straight shot there, okay. And that would be, so you went that way that day, you remember? Pull into the neighborhood, drive down, get to the bottom of the hill, pulling into the driveway. What transpires from there, Michelle?
Then I got out of my car and went in to get I left my car running because it's hot outside.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't get hot in my car. I left my
Did you
car.
raise the garage door, or was it open?
It was open.
Okay. Your dad still not called you? You not talked to him since this time or anything else?
Since he called me to remind me to do the bills.
Okay. You get to the back door. You enter inside the residence, your home.
Mm-hmm.
Take me from there.
I was going to get the bills were on the dining room table and some probably on the bench and all that. And when I walked in, there wasn't any lights on.
Where's your dog?
I don't know. I didn't see the dog.
You never seen Jed?
But he don't come unless you ring the doorbell. You can yell his name and bang around and
Mm-hmm.
he don't do nothing. He just lays there. He's 11. He's like having a big cat.
Okay.
Just lays there.
Okay. You walk in.
And there was some stuff in the floor, which my house is a mess always anyway. But there was like a lot of stuff on the floor. But it was dark and I really couldn't see.
Mm-hmm.
And thought Mark would be upstairs because all the lights were off.
Mm-hmm.
Because he doesn't like our $400 electric bills.
Mm-hmm.
But then I walked on just to go into the kitchen. It's beautiful.
Could you tell what was wrong with him, Michelle?
I went over and pushed his leg and yelled his name, and I could see something in his face. There was just blood everywhere, so I thought he had been shot. He was just laying flat on his back, and his blood was everywhere.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to talk about this again.
I know you don't.
His right arm looked kind of like his hand was laying out, and it looked blue. I don't even remember where his left arm was. But then I pushed the thing on the alarm and ran out the door.
Okay. And then from there, I know you go
To my
try
neighbor.
to go to the neighbors and everything.
But I was calling 911 while I was running over there.
Yes. You couldn't get anybody to the door or anything like that. At some point in time, officers arrive, your dad arrives. Your dad, I believe,
And my mom,
and your mom.
and my boss, and my friend.
Your dad was there rather quickly, was he not?
He was there fast.
He was there fast. Real
Because
fast.
I didn't know if I still can't remember if he got there before the police or not.
Okay. He was there quick though, wasn't he, Michelle? Michelle, I need to go back before this happened a little bit, okay? I need to go back before this day. I need to go back to the night prior,
Okay.
okay? And we discussed the text message and stuff that,
That wasn't the night before. That was like 2 or 3 nights before. Because we'd already settled all of that and we weren't fighting about that or anything.
so y'all did not have an argument the night before?
Not the night before. It was Sunday or Monday night.
Are you certain on that?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because when we took the boys for pizza the night before, it was 2 or 3 nights. It was like 2 nights before that we had the argument. And the night before we had a good night.
How big of an argument was that between y'all?
I mean, it was a big argument. But it was,
Anything physical at all?
mm-mm,
Never physical? He never touched you
mm-mm.
or anything? Has he ever been physical with you in the past?
Mm-mm.
Never.
No.
Were you physical with him that night at all?
I mean, I tried to get my phone out of his hand, but that was, I mean, it wasn't like real physical.
Because I mean, I know the text come from his phone.
From his phone?
Mm-hmm.
From Mark's phone?
Yes, ma'am.
No, he forwarded it to himself the next day.
Forwarded to himself the next day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. the scratches all over his face, Michelle?
He didn't have any scratches on his face at lunch.
None at lunch?
Mm-mm.
You're absolutely positive of that? And there was none on him at lunch or anything like that?
Mm-mm.
You worried your daughter heard the argument and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
But has she told you since?
Since last Wednesday?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
But you're aware that she knew about the fight that night?
Mm-hmm.
And from what I understand, what was posted on Facebook and everything else sounded like a pretty good one.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, she's a 16-year-old girl. She's dramatizes everything.
Understand?
Hates her life, hates me one day, hates him one day.
I understand. Sorry, it was my wife. I have to get some of those texts. You know, I have to read them. Besides you and Mark and Brooke, I don't know about the boys. Besides you three, did anybody else know about the argument that y'all had that night? That was pretty.
My dad and Cynthia.
Your dad and Cynthia knew about it? How'd your dad know?
Because I told him.
Do you recall what you told him, Michelle?
That he had woke up and that guy had texted me. And that then he thought that I was, he grabbed my phone and I tried to get my phone back and that we just argued.
Right. Did you ever tell your dad that he was physically abusive to you in any way, shape, form, or fashion?
Mm-mm.
Never. Had your dad ever seen any bruises on you that from Mark that he may have been told was from Mark or anything like that? I mean, I don't know. I was not there.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
I mean, I bruise easily. My desk bruises my legs all the time. But Mark was never physical. Physically abusive.
Is there any reason why your father would believe that he was physically abusive to you?
Mm-mm.
Was he ever pissed at Mark? Did they ever raise hell with one another?
Mm-mm.
Never?
I mean, not probably not ever.
Right,
But not.
right.
That would be very unusual.
Help me here, because I'm trying to figure out here. There's something. There's got to be more than something here, Michelle, because your dad has hired to pay people to kill Mark, your husband. He hired people to kill your husband.
Couldn't do that.
He couldn't do that. You know what else? And I'll tell you, I mean, because I know you're sitting there going, he can't do that and everything else. If I wasn't in bad shape, I'd kill the motherfucker myself. If I wasn't in such bad health, I'd kill the motherfucker myself. Or I'll pay somebody to do it. Those are words out of your dad's mouth.
Yeah.
On several different occasions.
To who? Sorry, I haven't had anything to eat.
That's all right.
Who did he say that to?
You know where the money was coming from? To be paid? Insurance money. Michelle, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to tell you exactly what I know, okay? Listen, I can tell you exactly what I know. I can tell you exactly that I have so much evidence that we have, everybody that's worked on this, which has been numerous investigators. I'm not going to lie to you. I normally don't use that type of language, but I want you to know exactly what has been said, okay? Do I feel like and do I want to go into every small intricate detail that I know? No, I don't, okay? Part of that is to save you from maybe a little bit of anguish or whatever. But I know a whole lot. I have executed, and other officers, other detectives here, we have executed more search warrants out of this particular case than any case that I can ever think of in the many years that I've been doing this. Looking at all aspects of it. And it was wide open. Like I told you before, I've thrown a huge net. That net has gotten really closed. And it's to the point to where it's, some of the fish have been caught. Some of the fish are still to be caught. Can I give you just a second to think on that? Just to think on me, you don't need a second to think on it? Your father hiring someone to kill somebody, to kill your husband, of what, 15 years? Almost 15 years. Seven to 10 stacks. 7 to 10 stacks. That's what he was going to pay me.
What is stacks?
Thousands. Your dad don't have that kind of money, does he? that's kind of a, give me just 1 second, I've got to get this real quick, okay? Just a second, just, I'll think about everything. Okay, I'm sorry, Michelle. That was one of them I had to take, okay?
Do you know what time it is? 'Cause my kids are going to go to school.
Yeah, you got plenty of time. It's about 10 to 2. Do you know where your dad's at right now?
He was at my friend's house.
What friend's house?
Where I was staying.
Where you staying at?
Annandale Circle.
Annandale? What's the address over there, do you know?
4317.
Okay. 4317 Annandale Circle.
He came over there to see me.
Today?
Check on me.
To what?
To check on me, see me.
He came over there today?
I'm sure, if this is true, I'm sure he thought when I got life insurance, I would just take care of him, because me and Mark always took care of him. He's on disability.
I know that. Yeah. Do you know how much Mark's second policy is for? You still don't?
I haven't talked to the life insurance agent.
Either one of them?
I mean, I talked to them just Friday. They both called me Friday,
Right.
but he didn't tell me how much.
Okay. And that's, so both of them called you, that's Modern Woodman and Northwestern Mutual and stuff like that, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Is there anything, Michelle? Is there anything at all, and I'm trying to talk to you, I'm sorry, I can't talk.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Is there anything that I need to know about any of this before that you hadn't told me? Is there anything that you need to get off your chest with me? Because now is a great time to do it. It's the right time to do it. Anything at all that you need to get off your chest of me, Michelle?
Just that I was seeing a guy, but my dad didn't know that. Mark didn't. I mean, nobody knew that. Nobody knew that.
Who was you seeing?
Just this young kid that wasn't anything. I mean, nobody knew it.
Is this the same guy that you was talking about that texted you?
Mm-mm.
Different
That
guy?
guy, that really was a random thing for that guy to text me that night. Or to talk to that guy that night. I never talked to him.
You have an intimate relationship with this guy?
Mm-hmm. The young one? Not the one that texts me.
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Yeah. But you already have an intimate relationship with this other man?
I was.
You was? When did that stop?
Last week.
Last week. Just a lot younger guy?
Mm-hmm.
How old are we talking?
24.
24.
Nobody knew that. My dad didn't know that.
So let me ask you this, okay? And, well, let me do this, okay? Let me do this because I'm gonna ask you some pointed questions, all right? And before I get into that, and especially like pointed questions of infidelity or stuff like that. I mean, you're not under arrest, but I go over everybody's rights with them and stuff like that, okay? You come up here on your own, you're not under arrest or anything like that. But I need to ask you some pointed questions, maybe even relating back to this young man that you're talking about, okay? So let me do this, all right? Let me go over these rights with you. It's simply states I know you understand and read.
No, I don't understand. If I'm not under arrest, I don't understand the rights.
Well, this is because that I may ask a question. If I start asking more pointed questions, okay, talking about any kind of, especially like getting into your personal life, like this relationship and stuff like that, okay, then that kind of involves you, okay, and like I said, you're not under arrest. You come up here on your own.
Yeah, but should I not answer any more questions without an attorney if I'm gonna have to talk about an affair?
That's up to you. Are you worried about questions over an affair?
No. I can answer questions.
Okay. It says, before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You understand you have the right to remain silent? I need a yes or no,
Yes.
please. All right. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before you ask any questions and have him with you during questioning. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. And if you cannot afford a lawyer, will be appointed for you before any questioning if you wish. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. If you decide to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you still have the right to stop answering any time. You also have the right to stop answering any time until you talk to a lawyer. You understand that?
Yes.
Okay. This part says that I've read the statement of rights, or in this case, I've read them to you, and you understand what they are. I want to make a statement and answer questions. Do not want a lawyer at this time. I understand and know what I'm doing. I've not promised you or threatened you in any way. No pressure, coercion of any kind has been used against you, okay? And I'll just let you sign right there for me. And I'll put my name on there too, okay? Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Now, this young man that you're talking about, they is 8/31, with the guy now being 05. This young man that you're talking about here, that's 24, any idea, how long has this relationship been going on between the two of you?
Several months.
Several months. Are you certain Mark is not aware of this?
Mm-hmm.
Mark was not aware of it at
I
all?
was pretty certain.
Pretty certain?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a remote possibility you may have known? Do you know that?
I don't think so.
Who has the garage code besides the kids, you?
My dad has his own opener but knows the code.
He would know the code as well too,
Mhm.
wouldn't he?
I mean, a couple of our friends know the code and stuff.
Right. Which is, I mean, that's normal.
My mom, my stepdad.
Right. But we're pretty certain. Describe this young man to me.
Skinny, brown hair. Young guy.
And this other text that came through, this was just I think you said a fluke thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that C.W. Roach? Is that right?
GW.
G.W. Roach, okay.
That really was random. This young guy is the only guy that I don't have any kind of relationship with.
Was Mark ever unfaithful to you?
Mm-hmm.
As recent as a year ago?
Not that I know of. I don't think it was it. I mean, if it was, I didn't know it. I've always wondered because he just did before and has that flexibility.
Yeah.
At this time.
You say you did before. How long ago was that?
It was in 2002 or 2003 when it was, he had a real serious affair. A friend of mine.
Was that the one who went to church with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So where would your father get any money at? Have you given your father any money at all?
He could have been kept keeping rent money. Not $7 to $10.
Well, y'all hadn't. I mean, Mark hadn't come up. He wasn't griping about him stealing any money from y'all, had he?
He had. I mean, over the course of the last year, Mark has wondered that.
Did you ever confront him about it or anything? If they ever had any conversations on it?
I don't think he confronted him about it.
Yeah. It's pretty clear to me. It's pretty clear that there was some very strong feelings as to why this was to take place.
Money. He's greedy.
Money.
He's greedy and lazy.
He's greedy and lazy. What would he get out of this?
He would think that I would take care of him.
Michelle, have you made any withdrawals from your bank accounts?
I make withdrawals all the time.
Substantial withdrawals?
Because we move money from one account to another different times.
So if I have your bank records, it would show the withdrawal from one and it would be placed into the other?
Not always, because I pay like my city water and light bill with cash, and that's like $600 and stuff like that.
But I'm talking substantial amounts of money. It should, if you turn around and then you put it into another account, it should be only $600 short or something to that effect.
Well, we have one account that we just don't hardly use, but he was trying to change his business name, and we still would get checks in that name. So I would deposit it, but then withdraw it and use it. Sometimes deposit some of it. I hadn't done that a lot recently. I just use it to pay bills and buy groceries and give that young kid money.
Is that the Liberty Bank account, or is it
That's the Focus account.
Focus
and
account?
And the Liberty Bank.
And Liberty Bank account? What about the Bancorp South?
They just set that up for the kids, so that's the only account I have there.
Okay. Do you know how much money's in it right now? Any idea?
Oh, I've deposited 2 checks yesterday that family gave me, that were $50 each.
Sure, yeah.
That $100.
Yeah, I'm sure people's been good.
I have no idea what's in it. Mark always thought Dad might be stealing rent money. Said he always thought Dad could be stealing rent money. I should have listened.
And you stated that your dad called you, and did you tell me that you told him that Mark was, let me go back, I'm sorry. And he asked you where he was at. And did you tell your dad, did you ever call and tell your dad that he had left, y'all were leaving and you were on your way? You did?
He asked me if I was on my way back to work.
Okay.
If Mark was coming home, if he took me the rent money. I gave that young guy a lot of money.
How much money did you give him?
When he moved into the apartment, I gave him $900. I recently gave him like $600.
When was that?
Just a week or 2 ago.
A week or 2 ago? What's this young man's name, Michelle?
Jack McGrath.
Jack McGrath? Where does he live at?
On East Street.
East? Do you know his phone number?
219-4827.
4827. So anyway, you gave him some money for rent, and then,
I give him money all the time.
how frequent, I mean, is this money you're drawing out of the bank account? Y'all been having this affair for several months. You've been giving him money this whole time?
Probably not the first couple months, but
So the last 2 months, is that gonna be just withdrawals? Do you have any idea how many times you've taken money out and given it to him?
the last time it was like $600, and it was just a couple weeks ago.
And that was for what?
That was for just, the 900 was when he moved into the apartment. He had to have like a month's rent and a deposit,
Sure.
and a deposit.
Okay.
And then like 200, no, 300 maybe for moving service. You have to understand, I'm very ashamed of this. I don't really want to talk about it.
We're adults here, Michelle. Okay?
I don't know, but I'm still ashamed.
We're adults. 900 for rent, 300 for moving, 600 for what?
That was just, I can't remember if it's cable or electric or, I don't know, he's in college, he doesn't have any money, I just gave him money that I didn't have to give.
Does she work anywhere?
He works at the bank,
Which bank?
Bancorp South.
Michelle, did Mark ask you for a divorce recently?
He didn't ask me for a divorce.
What did he tell you?
That he didn't know, that he didn't know if we would stay married after the kids are grown.
When was that conversation? Do you recall?
It was last week.
Last week? Is this a conversation at the bank?
He hadn't been to the bank recently.
Where'd that conversation take place at?
At home or at lunch. We had lunch on Monday too, I think.
But he never asked you, or he informed you that he was going to get a divorce?
Was he in the process of it?
I'm asking you.
No, not
That's-
that I know of. That's why I'm asking you. You know a lot more than I know.
Yeah. Been working on it for a while, so I know quite a bit, yeah. $900, $600, $300, any other amounts of money that you know that you've given him that you've withdrawn within the last 2 months?
2 months.
So you said that, I believe that was your words, you started giving him money a couple months ago?
No, I didn't give him money the first couple of months that we were seeing each other.
Oh, okay.
In May, I gave him some money when he went on trip. Probably, I think $300. It may have even been 5, either 3 or 5.
Okay.
I gave him money a lot, and I bought groceries for him a lot with the cash that I, with cash, because I wasn't going to do that with a card.
Is that because Mark would know the bank record? See the transaction or wonder what that's for? you think?
I understand I'm stupid for messing with this guy, cause I've had that guilt on top of just Mark being gone. I feel like I'm being punished for doing that.
Michelle, I'm gonna ask you, and I don't know how else to ask you, but just straight out, did you have anything to do with the murder of your husband?
No, sir. No, sir. That was not what he did.
Any inclination anything was gonna happen to your husband, the way that he was gonna be brutally killed and murdered that day?
And I still don't know if you're sure my dad did it.
I'm positive. No questions asked. I told you I'm not gonna lie to you. There's no reason for me to lie. I've not built my career on lies. I've built my career on being honest and everything else. I'm not, I don't mince words. That's one thing that I can tell you. I tell it just like it is and everything else, you know. Some people like that, some people don't. But because I mean, I'll be straightforward and honest with you. The implications are and everything else that's being gathered. This money's supposed to have been coming from you.
I would not have had $7,000 to $10,000 to give him.
And I've been given that much. I've been given $2,000. Your dad's under arrest right now, and he will be charged for first-degree murder. And that does not conclude my investigation. It's not going to stop there, Michelle.
What do you mean?
I'm not done until I get everything taken care of, until I close this case out, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to see it through all the way till the end. I take pride in doing this, doing the work I do and everything else. But your dad is now in cuffs, and he will be on his way up here. He is in custody. He is aware that he is being charged with first-degree murder right now.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't either.
Why? Because he's your father?
Mm-hmm.
I hope you're not doubting what I'm telling you.
No, I'm not doubting you.
Because like I I said, when I started this out, there was a wide net that I threw out there, okay? Just like I said a while ago, I'm talking about from his side of the family, okay? To everybody. Nobody is ruled out of this situation. Wide open. And we've got to where we're at. With just hard work and good police work on the other investigators' parts. Michelle, would you be able to pass a polygraph test on this if you were given one?
Yes, sir.
Would you take a polygraph?
Yes, sir.
No questions asked, be ready to do it. Okay. Because you have to understand this, okay? I want to rule people out just as much as I want the people that are responsible. You understand what I'm saying? So that would be no problem for me to set that up and me to call you and go, and you don't have to tell your children, you don't have to let them know or anything else. They've got enough bearing on their shoulders right now.
This is gonna kill him like my dad.
I know, that's what I'm getting at. With this, that's gonna affect them as well. But that can be a conversation between me and you that I can get taken care of, and we can do that. Today's Wednesday. I figure we can probably either do that tomorrow or Friday, one of the two. That is no problem to get taken care of.
No,
Is that okay?
that's fine.
How will you do on it?
How will I do?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, how will I?
Have we passed, Bill?
I'll pass it.
Okay. I have to ask these questions,
No,
okay,
I'm
Michelle?
sorry, I'm not
I have to
trying,
ask these
I'm not trying to be
questions.
mean to you. I'm really confused and shocked, and I still can't even believe that Mark's really gone. That doesn't seem real. And now my dad's being arrested.
Yes, ma'am. Give me just a second, I'll make sure I'm taking care of it real quick, okay? For today or tomorrow, or Friday. Okay, Michelle, I'm sorry, I'm just not
What time?
I'm just about ready for you to go, okay?
What time is it?
It's, about 2:25. I talked with Lieutenant Elliott, okay? Tomorrow, 10 o'clock, that'd be fine?
That's fine.
Okay.
Leave at 3:30 to go to my son's football game.
Sure, that ain't no problem. 10 o'clock, I'll let him know. Understand this, Michelle, okay? And as I said a while ago, I have to put everybody in there, just as everything else. And I wanna rule,
Everybody told me that from the beginning.
I wanna rule everybody out too, okay? Please understand that, alright? This is not pointed directly at you or anything like that. But, by the same token too, I don't have to tell you, I'm sure you've probably heard all kinds of rumors out there and everything else that this public or whatever thrives on, okay? In a
I
tragic.
haven't read anything
I
on
know,
politics. My
and
family and friends won't let me read anything.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to say. And I want to do that because this is the easiest way to squelch this thing, okay? Very simple. And so I want to do that, and I'm glad that you are willing to do that. You're not taking any medication right now other than what you normally take or anything. You're not.
Right, I take Lexapro every day. Well, I
But
mean,
you're
I've
not.
been taking Xanax occasionally
I
during
understand.
this last week.
But, so that's no trouble, nothing hard or anything like that, and I know you don't have a cold or anything. But please, let me leave you with this, okay? And I'll see you tomorrow morning for just a brief moment. And then you'll talk to Lieutenant Elliott, but let me say this. This is one of them things to where we do this with a lot of folks, okay? And I'm trying to do this to your benefit and for your side. You see what I'm saying? Because I want to be able to stop everything that's out there and being
I
said.
understand because Dad was talking to me so much that day. So I understand why you want to do that.
Okay. So,
It just wasn't unusual for me and for him to talk to me.
okay. All right. I need to get you out of here and you need to go get them kids, okay? I'm sorry I had to bear and lay that on you, but Michelle, I wanted to keep you up to speed, and I want you to know because I feel like I'm doing you a disservice if I don't tell you exactly what's going on. Okay? And I hope you respect that and appreciate it.
I do. I'm not upset with you.
Okay.
Some of the recent money I gave Jack was for, he went to St. Louis.
How much was that?
That might have been part of that 600.
Okay.
I think that was part of that 600 because he went to a concert.
Okay.
And I'm really ashamed of that.
We're adults.
But nobody else has to know that, right? That whole.
We're adults. We can deal with that, okay? That's not.
But you're the only person that knows that, so if that rumor
Yes, ma'am.
gets out,
That's not out there, okay? That will not be out there with this young man. All right? Okay. It's about 2:30. We'll end this interview.